speaking of stuff that you can't trust, 21 Senate Democrats urge Biden to put recurring stimulus checks, unemployment aid extension, and recovery plan. So 21 Senate Democrats led by Ron Wyden are pushing Joe Biden to include recurring direct payments and an extension of jobless benefits in his economic recovery plan. They want the aid tied to economic conditions so it does not lapse too early. And Biden plans to unveil his infrastructure and recovery proposal Wednesday. As of the recording of this, that's tomorrow. So they're going to send him, they're basically going to send him a letter, or they're urging him. I think at some point they mentioned it's a letter. Yeah, so they wrote to him, which they've written to him in the past, and it's done nothing. Absolutely nothing. So they're writing to him again for a UBI. And it's been a year. And I think most Americans have just abandoned the idea that we're going to get the type of UBI that a lot of other countries just took for granted. What do you think? Do you think there's anything resembling a chance?
No. And, first of all, he already got your votes. I mean, we have no leverage. He doesn't care. And furthermore, people are getting vaccinations. People are becoming more active, and some people who worked from home are able to, like a lot of teachers are going back to school, things like that. So I think he will use that as a rationalization as to why would we give out these checks now when millions of vaccines have been already used. Yeah, I agree with you that it's already been a year. I don't see this as feasible.
Do you think this is anything more than just theater? Because honestly, I don't. Yeah.
I mean, it really is. I mean, it's like when Byrne first came out with Medicare for All. Well, I shouldn't say first did, but in 2017, he said it countless times, we have 15 people who signed on, 15 reps. Every single person in the universe knew it was not going to pass. And some of those 15 people were Kamala, Liz Warren. They knew it wasn't going to pass. They came out in their campaign, said they weren't supporting it. And people said, well, they signed on before. We knew it wasn't going to pass. Just like this, they know damn right well Biden isn't going to put it through. So look how great we are. We're trying to get you this. If you don't get it, it's because it's on Biden. Same thing with Chuck Schumer coming out and saying, oh, free college tuition. Oh, right. You totally support that. Okay. It's because, student debt cancellation. Right. There is literally no way in hell Biden is going to do that. So all of a sudden you come out and support it. And it's like, oh, he's turning a progressive page here. No, it's really not. So this is the same thing. It's safe. Let's put these things forward. It's not going to pass, but we'll look like the good guys.
Well, and I would go a little bit further even and say it's also safe for Biden because, again, this has gotten barely any coverage, first of all. And even though this is from a corporate outlet, this is from CNBC, but even still, like, this has barely been talked about. I doubt cable news is going to harp on it much. And it comes at a time where, again, people are kind of looking for the end. They're looking for the end of the tunnel, and people have just accepted, okay, yeah, we're not going to get a UBI. So it even Biden's going to come out smelling like a rose because, again, he'll just be able to pivot and be like, oh, yeah, it just wasn't feasible because we were in recovery. Even though so many people are still just as desperate, there's still an economic devastation looming, but they're not going to tell you that truth. They're not going to tell you people have lost everything. They're going to try to sugarcoat everything as they have since the beginning. And this is going to make Biden like this is convenient timing for Biden too. He's not even a scapegoat in this scenario.
Right. And I saw, I digress a bit, but as far as, verbiage and the way that they're handling things, Jen Psaki, the press secretary yesterday, literally said migrant shelters. So
Oh, right.
that's what they're doing. They
Yeah.
are, using certain terms, and likely he'll come up with something for, for not giving UBI. It's all semantics, and it's all, unfortunately, people fall for it a lot. It's easier to have cognitive dissonance and not want to dissect these things and not want to acknowledge that, the Dems are just as garbage as the Republicans.
Well, and that's the problem too, because sometimes when people don't buy it, they buy the other load of snake oil. I mean, I think that the Democratic Party is the greatest recruiting tool for the Republicans, because
Absolutely.
people see nonsense like this. They see like, oh, it's not kids in cages anymore. It's migrant facilities. Oh, they're sending a strongly worded letter about this thing that we're for sure not going to get. And we're going to be given the same load of bullshit we've been getting since the beginning. I mean, the other epic load of bullshit they throw at you is like, oh, this is the most progressive legislation in decades. You mean compared to all those other not pandemic times we have had? You mean compared to all those other not pandemics? Look, we know that Joe Biden would not be doing anything like this under normal circumstances. We know that, but we're in a freaking pandemic. It's an unprecedented time for about a century. You want to compare how we're doing, compare us to other countries. And by the way, we don't look so great. Don't compare it to what other presidents have done. Well, a pandemic wasn't going on. And they feed us this nonsense with a straight face. It's unbelievable. With a straight face, they feed us this absolute nonsense.
It's almost like the letter is almost like a equivalent to when we the people do petitions. I mean, we sign petitions all the time. I'm not discouraging people from signing petitions, but in a way, it is a way to just kind of satiate us and be like, see, we're doing something. But what has actually happened?
At least the petitions, people give a shit. With
They
the
do, but what
petitions,
have
people
we
care.
won from it? What has been gained by a petition other than we had 200,000 people sign this petition?
Right. Well, I think it depends on the petition. I mean, I don't think I do think it is a useful tool, and it certainly can be. And I think they can be effective on the local level and stuff like that. I mean, nationally, yeah. I mean, I've not seen, crazy good results, and I'm sure you haven't either. But I see what you're saying. I think the difference is people signing that petition actually care about something. I would argue in this case, this is just political theater. This is just total political theater. I think the letter they're sending to Biden is just going to say LOL with a dick drawn on it, and that's going to be about it. So,
Yeah.
but yeah. So, yeah, I think we're in agreement. I mean, sometimes it's like you hope that, oh, maybe Joy will have a different perspective, but who would actually buy this shit? I mean, people do, but
wrong. Like
I hope we're wrong too.
Like, I mean, I made a post about this about a month ago on Twitter. I don't like saying "we told you so." I don't want to say that at all. I want to be like, you know what? I was wrong. I would love to say that, but I mean, we're not pessimistic. We're realistic, and I mean, it's sad, but we can't set ourselves up to have that disappointment. Shit's too bad as it is. I don't want to convince myself, ooh, this is hopeful. Maybe they'll do this. Not doing that to my psyche. I'm not.
I would love to be proven wrong too. I mean, there's a million things I'd love to be proven wrong on. And here's hoping, but yeah, you can't sugarcoat what's out there right now. Like, there's no reason. And it's not being hopeful when well, actually, this is a philosophical question. Is it hopeful to kind of sugarcoat what's going on?
No, I think it's delusional.
Fair enough. I would agree with that. Yeah, I think can you not sugarcoat what's going on and still maintain hope?
You can. I don't have a lot, but like, okay, I just had Marianne Williamson on my show a few days ago. I have hope. She was like, oh, and something in me was just like totally changed by the conversation we had. So I do have some hope. I do. Now that could be a defense mechanism. Maybe I feel like I need to have hope because there are days when I'm like totally defeatist and I'm like, fuck that, I give up. What the hell's the point of any of this shit? But I feel like we have to have hope. It's just, my thoughts have changed as far as what gives me hope. Electoral politics, I have no hope in whatsoever anymore. So I have hope for we the people. That's what I have hope for.
I agree with you 110%. I think the one exception for me in electoralism is on the local level. I still have, some, I don't know if hope's the right word, but I definitely see the value in, trying to just get decent members of your community elected to positions. I mean, there's definitely value in that. There's no disputing that. So, so I said that I would not really get involved in anything local or anything electorally unless it's kind of local. And that's probably going to be the case for a while. There's one situation and one person that I'm excited about, and it's somebody running for city council in my district, so I do see a little bit of hope locally, and I see a little bit of things worth fighting for locally, but beyond that, I have no hope in that stuff. I don't have hope in some symbolic letter, some saving face letter that 21 Democrats are going to sign. I do have hope in, stuff that happens in my neighborhood when, a bunch of people show up in Echo Park to defend houseless people. I do have hope when I see stuff like that. I do have hope when I see stuff like what's going on in Alabama with the Amazon unions. Or the effort to get a union. I do have hope when I see stuff like that. I do have hope when I see mutual aid efforts all across the country. And I do have hope when some of those start to receive national attention because of how well they're doing. I have hope when I eat a special Rice Krispie treat. I have hope then. But no, yeah.
People tweet, we've seen this for a year, general strike, hashtag general strike. Well, I'd like to have hope that's going to actually happen.
I'm with you because I'm one of those people. I do
when
tweet
and where,
that.
Dude? When and where?
I wish I had that answer. If I had that answer, I mean, I don't think there's any clear one answer to that because we're dealing with an unprecedented moment in history.
Well, some people are saying May Day. I think May 1st would be a genius day.
I think so too.
But I haven't seen any actual organizers, saying
that's the problem. I mean, the problem with where we're at right now is, first of all, we don't have. Where are the Emma Goldmans of our generation? Where are the Lucy Parsons? Where are the Eugene Debs? Those are the types of leaders we need. And those leaders, they're not going to be sitting in office somewhere. It ain't going to be there. If you think a politician is going to lead something like a general strike, you're dreaming. You're dreaming. Maybe if they're a city council member, that's possible. But otherwise, no. It sure as hell is not going to be a politician. It's never been that way. I don't think it ever will be. So we need a new set of labor leaders, really. That's what we need.
And it's got to be a 50-state strategy. If it's huge, like I'm in Pennsylvania, we're going to need one for my state, for your state. California is huge. You'll probably need a few. It would have to be on a huge scale.
Well, yeah, because you got to shut the supply chain down. You got to shut the supply chain down to where the Jeff Bezos of the world and the Walmarts of the world are going, what the fuck? We don't like what our bottom line looks like today. Fix it. Because those are the people who really control what the politicians do. And we know this.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, I don't think that the answer to how we start a general strike right now is in some book that was written years ago. I just don't think it's there. Not that there's anything wrong with reading, but I read books all the time, but I think that it's just going to take a mass collaborative effort. I mean, because you're going to need people looking out for each other in the interim. You're going to need like you're going to need mutual aid efforts. You're going to need people looking out for each other's children, especially since a lot of kids still aren't going to school because of the pandemic. Make sure they're in school on Zoom. You're going to need to make sure that everyone has their medicine, that no one goes food insecure anytime soon, that no one's going to lose their housing because their landlord's going to try to evict them because there's still loopholes where you can evict people during a freaking pandemic. All that is going to need to be into place for a general strike to be successful and to be safe for everybody. So, yeah, I mean,
is too, certain jobs, they could say, we know there's a general strike coming up. If you call out that day, and people are going to be faced with, do I join or do I risk losing my job? And people can't lose their job.
Yeah, I mean that's why people need to be united on that level so that a company couldn't get away with that. And that's easier said than done. And I'm not trying to put it all on the backs of the workers because that's not fair. And plus it's, we have a society that is built so that it's very difficult to strike. And that's by design. Other places they strike very easily because they have the type of society where it's easier for them because their healthcare isn't tied to their job, because they're not one paycheck away from going under, because, they have a different type of just work-life culture than we do. And those are tough things to climb over. But again, I talk about general strike a lot on this show, and I always throw it out there. If someone has a better answer, if someone has a better solution, I'm listening. Maybe there is a better solution out there. I haven't heard it yet if there is. General strike, rent strike. I don't know of a better answer. That actually is who I endorsed in 2020, general strike, rent strike, VP. And that's probably who I'm going to endorse indefinitely until it's not necessary anymore, which hopefully, I'd like to live in a country where I don't think a general strike is necessary. But right now, that's not the case. And if there's a better solution, I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, same.
Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. You can tweet me an article at Ron Placone. We'll go through it together and make it our own. Get your news